water, earth, bio, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when humanity attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all four Earth subsystems, could stop them. But when the world needed her most, she vanished. 100 years passed and my brother and I discovered the new Avatar, an airbender named Rochelle. And although her airbending skills are great, she has a lot to learn before she's ready to save everyone. But I believe Rochelle can save the world. A system is a set of connected things or parts forming a complex whole in particular. Planet Earth is a system. The Earth, as my friend said, has four subsystems. Each of my friends represent them all. The atmosphere, ruled by Kyle, head monk of the Air Nomads. The biosphere, ruled by Vince, the elder council of the Eastern Gaia Temple. The geosphere, ruled by Janina, the dynasty queen of the Earth Kingdom. And the hydrosphere, ruled by Diane, the tribal chief of the Water Tribe. Each and every subsystem is substantial to my knowledge of saving the world, of becoming the Avatar.
The Avatar, you must learn the basics of hydrosphere.
Hydrosphere is the collective mass of water found on, over, and under the Earth's surface. It consists of salt water, which is 97.5%, and fresh water, which is 2.5%.
The hydrosphere, like the atmosphere, is always in motion. The characteristics of the water which affects its motion are its temperature and salinity. Warm water is less dense and therefore it tends to move up towards the surface, while colder water is more dense and therefore it tends to sink more. The ocean serves two main purposes in the climate system. First, it is a large reservoir of chemicals that can contribute to the greenhouse effect. Second, it works with the atmosphere to redistribute energy received from the sun such that heat in topics where a lot of energy is received from the sun is transferred to poles where heat is generally lost.
To be the Avatar, you must learn the basics of the geosphere.
The geosphere describes all of the rocks, minerals, and ground that are found on and in the Earth's surface. This includes mountains, volcanoes, plateaus, and other landforms.
The Earth's interior includes a thin layer of oceanic and continental crust. It consists of a series of layers, and directly below the crust is the mantle. It consists of two parts, the upper layer that is less dense and relatively brittle, and the lower layer that is more dense and plastic. The crust and upper mantle combined form the brittle upper layers of the Earth's interior called the lithosphere, while the upper mantle is also called the asthenosphere.
To be the Avatar, you must master the basic of the biosphere. The biosphere is defined as a sphere or area around the planet Earth where life exists. This zone of life is vast. Most life forms live on or near the surface of Earth. However, some live deep within the hydrosphere, while others thrive in the depths of the lithosphere. For this reason, mapping the exact border of the biosphere is quite challenging.
The biosphere extends from the deepest root system of trees to the dark environment of ocean trenches to lush rainforests and high mountain shrubs. Since life exists on the ground, in the air, and in the water, the biosphere overlaps all these spheres.
To be the Avatar, you must master the ways of the air nomads, the atmosphere.
Atmosphere is the layer of gases surrounding the Earth. It has 5 layers: exosphere, thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, and troposphere.
The atmosphere may just looks like one vast blue thing above, but a lot happens up there. The atmosphere is broken down into 5 layers, each with its own characteristics and properties. Of all the layers of the atmosphere, it is the troposphere that we experience, the air we breathe, and the weather we complain about. It all occurs in the troposphere, which begins at the surface and extends 5 to 10 miles up in the atmosphere. Next, you have the stratosphere. The beginning of the stratosphere varies around the Earth due to the difference in centripetal force from rotating. Near the poles, the stratosphere begins 5 miles above the surface, while down at the equator it starts higher up to 10 miles. It is the stratosphere that 3 oxygen atoms combine to form the ozone layer. The ozone layer absorbs most of the sun's ultraviolet rays, which heat up the stratosphere. Next up, the mesosphere starts just above the stratosphere, 31 miles above the surface, and extends up to 53 miles. The mesosphere is the coldest layer of the atmosphere, with temperatures averaging -130 Fahrenheit. Most of the meteors that burn up in the atmosphere do so in the mesosphere. Above the mesosphere is the thermosphere, which extends from 53 to 621 miles up in the atmosphere. Direct heat from the sun causes the temperature in the thermosphere to rise sharply. Temperatures here can get up to 932 Fahrenheit, and yet even with these temperatures, most satellites, including the International Space Station, orbit in the thermosphere. Finally, the exosphere is the uppermost layer of the atmosphere. This is where atoms and molecules escape Earth's gravity into space.
First, phosphate is released by the erosion of rocks. Then plants and fungi take up the phosphate with their roots. Later, phosphorus moves from producers to consumers via food chain, which then may phosphorus seep into groundwater from soil, over time forming into rock. Finally, when those rock erodes, the cycle begins again. The nitrogen cycle. Most of nitrogen exists in the atmosphere and can also be found dissolved in the ocean. For most organisms, nitrogen gas is hard to break, but for some organisms, they can turn it to ammonium, which is taken by phytoplankton. And for those who can choose nitrogen and ammonium, bacteria takes the ammonium and add oxygen to create nitrite and then nitrate in a process called nitrification. This nitrate can then be used by other species of phytoplanktons. Larger organisms, such as fishes and whales, can take nitrogen by eating the phytoplanktons and eventually will die, where they will be decomposed by bacteria into ammonium for continuous use in the cycle.
How do the subsystems interact? The rocks on the Earth's surface form part of the geosphere. This is a big question, and it would take many books to explain, but think about this example.
We know weather happens in the atmosphere.
But without the hydrosphere, there would be no water to evaporate, and so no cloud or rain could form. Without oceans,
And the land, there will be no wind, as winds are produced by differences of earth temperature between the land and the oceans.
Without the biosphere, all life on Earth would cease to exist.
It would be as barren as the moon.
without water, Life as we know it would cease to exist.
Last of all, without geosphere, there will be no world to live on.
Look at the changing landscape of Earth. Rivers erode the geosphere, changing the physical environment so that plants and animals have to adapt or die. Bad weather might increase the weathering of rocks, the way rocks are broken down, changing both the physical and chemical makeup of the rocks. Hear me now, humanity. To mold the planet we are dreaming of, your own will in creating it must be unbendable, or you will be corrupted and destroyed. Hundreds of years of fighting has left the world scarred and divided, but with my help in educating humanity, we can get it back on the right path and begin a new era of love and peace.